Hello guys, welcome back to episode 3 of DG UK's Inspired Rail Network. UK Inspired? I can't remember what I called the series. Anyway, welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed the time lapses so far. So today I'm going to explain a little bit about what we've done so far, what we're aiming to do in this episode, what I'm going to try and do, and how we're going to break it down. So obviously in the last episode, we've sort of done the basic rail works up until South Hempstead. We've obviously got the main line here, and then we've got the Euston. The majority of this gets used by I think it's the London Euston to Watford Junction DC line, as far as I'm concerned, and it sort of splits off from the main line here. I've used a railway track mod called it's a electrified third rail. I was trying to find something a little bit more reminiscent of what we use in the UK, because I think it's something like third and fourth rail, like positive, negative or something. I'm not big on railway tracks. I'm not entirely sure, but from what I read, so it's meant to have like something in the middle here, maybe. I'm not really sure. If anybody does know of a mod that's a bit more suitable, let me know. Especially as I want to start putting it on the London Underground as well. Ooh, and there's some grass I've missed out there with ballast, so I'm going to go to the paint tools, get the ballast up, shrink that down because I've got the bigger brushes mod installed, so it's huge. There we go. Just get rid of that grass in between the tracks there. As for detailing, so what I might do is I might either do some mini like 0.3.1 episodes and do some time lapses as I sort of detail this a little bit more, maybe add some retaining walls around it, just make it look a bit better, and put some bridges roughly where they're meant to be. Obviously put some road across here so we get some sort of housing build. But today I want to try and maybe get as far as Harrow and Wealdstone. So what I'm thinking of doing is from here is doing Queen's Park up a bit further on, and that way I wanted to put Queen's Park in mainly because the Bakerloo line comes up from underground, so it hits the surface there as well, so you get like a mini sort of junction area as well where the Bakerloo line and the DC line kind of share a little bit, and then they both go on to Harrow and Wealdstone, and then the Bakerloo line terminates at Harrow and Wealdstone, turns around and comes back, as far as I'm aware. That's what we're going to do as well. And then obviously in future episodes with the Bakerloo line, I'd obviously like to bring it obviously underground, and back into London and try and meet up there as well. We will at some point, as well as I want to do a bit more London Underground. I'm thinking, what I've been thinking is adding in the Northern and I'm going to say Victoria lines underneath Euston. I'm just going to check my map. Hold on, I'm on Google Maps at the same time. I believe it's sorry, I'm really far up on Google Maps. I'm sort of as far as Harrow and Wealdstone, so I've got to scroll back. I believe it is the Victoria line, am I right? Yes, as well. And I'd like to sort of do I mean, we're limited in terms of how far south we can go, because I wanted to put sort of this station as far south as I can. So we had lots of scope to play with going sort of, I know we're veering off here, but we need to sort of start turning maybe a little bit at some point. We sort of have veered off a far bit left, actually. Start turning a little bit up, and we might actually after this one sort of veer right a little bit, start going up towards Watford Junction, and obviously I want to get in some other stations after that. So Watford Junction, and I've sort of got to decide after sort of Watford Junction if Watford Junction is about here, maybe it's quite far, maybe about here. I've got to decide after that, are we going to do what stations beyond that on this line? Am I going to do sort of, Tring? We've got Tring, Leighton Buzzard. Obviously, then I've got to decide, obviously, being from Milton Keynes, we're going to have Milton Keynes Central in there. Am I going to do both Bletchley? Bletchley's got some nice sort of junctions. It's also got the flyover, which is currently being changed and reconstructed, I think, for a bit more modern. And it's linking up Bicester, I believe, to Oxford or something like that. We can take a look at that maybe and do our own version of that. Milton Keynes Central, obviously. And then after that, am I going to include Wolverton? I do live in Wolverton and Milton Keynes. Obviously, we've got things like, just a lot of historical railway references there. And you've also got the Wolverton Works as well. So we could have some junctions and maybe use that as an industry port of call in the future as well. So we'll take a look at that. That's a while away yet anyway, but we will take a look at that at some point. I'm probably, until we get to Watford Junction, I probably won't add any, plop any towns. For these, like Southampton, I'm probably going to sort of, plop sort of the smallest possible, tiny in there, because I've got to be very wary of the strain on this PC, as I am due for a cheeky little upgrade at some point as well. So we're going to be limited on resources. We might have to turn the visuals down a little bit at some point as we get a bit busy. Excuse Origin there that I should have turned off. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to switch into a time lapse in a minute, and we're going to make our way through. I may pause the time lapse and come back to you and talk about what I've done. But basically, we're going to be using a mixture of the electrified third rail, this 999K. I could use a lower one, but I've just been using that to be on the safe side because sometimes the mods can play about. So I know this works. I can use both diesel and electrified trains on that, and obviously the normal high-speed overhead for these. Once I've got to Watford Junction, what will probably happen is after that, if we get to Watford Junction today, we may only get as far as Harrow and Wealdstone, which is the minimum aim. Is what I can do then, start popping on some services, and we can start looking at some trains on this once I've worked out the directions and plotted the routes and made sure all my junctions work correctly and the platforms have been used correctly. So hopefully getting to Harrow and Wealdstone, we could probably activate the Bakerloo line, and maybe I'll drop one of the underground stations. I think there's one around here somewhere. Heading back into London, and we could just have a quick turnaround on one, and we can have some services running between Harrow and Wealdstone to there. And then once we get as far as Watford Junction, what we can also add then is the Watford Junction London Euston DC, which would make things a little bit busier and a little bit more interesting. So I guess let's get to it. So that's that time lapse done. I did randomly, I realized I was recording to the wrong drive when I was recording that. So we got to about sort of finishing this off, and then I was deep in concentration just trying to polish off this little bit of circuit. So this bit's kind of been left out of the time lapse. So what we've got here, I'm not sure if you've ever Google Map Queen's Park. It's kind of my version of it. I appreciate we have extra tracks here. Normally it's just 2 sets of up, down, slow, and up, down, fast. I've got up, down, slow, and up, down, fast, up, down, fast. Basically, because I just want to get the traffic in and out of Houston a bit. Houston, in and out of Houston a little bit quicker. So what we've got here is the tunnel to which the Bakerloo line will join the DC line and join Queen's Park. We're going to rename this Queen's Park. And then we'll have the DC line either side, and they're joined. So there's 6 platforms, 2 for the Bakerloo line and 2 for the Euston, Watford Junction line as well. I'm assuming that this used to get used, this platform. I'm going to assume it's disused because nothing seems to stop here that goes there. But I included it anyway, so the trains will pass through there, but nothing will stop there. But I thought I'd include it anyway. It's the closest I could get to the type of roof. I know the roof's white at Queen's Park, but it's the closest I could get, and I just wanted a normal sort of covered roof, really. So that's the best I could do. We've got signals here. This is basically coming into Watford Junction. What I want to do, even though there's not many sort of high-speed trains stop there, it's generally just this one, but I want a couple of high-speed to stop there, so I'm sort of planning ahead a little bit. And this is sort of where they're going to sort themselves out. So we're going to have sort of the trains bypassing, taking these 2 here, up downs, and the ones that are going to stop, they're going to take these. And this is just sort of a little bit here with the signals, just so they can sort themselves out a little bit. And it's where I could sort of stretch the signals out so the trains didn't slow down too much either, so I can get some decent speed off them. I'm going to sort of tidy this up. I want to put some sort of retaining walls through this a little bit, just to give it a little bit more detail at some point. I'll either record that, I'll do that in my spare time. I'll probably record it, actually, and get that done. I was planning on sort of this episode doing another time-lapse of making our way up to Harrow and Wealdstone. So I'm going to do that now, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode so far. I hope you enjoyed sort of my stops and starts as well, where I break down and explain what I'm doing. Here, there's a little... why I've made this is there's a little bit further on, there's like a little shed, a work shed. I'm assuming it's where maybe trains used to be parked up, or sometimes they turn around there as well. I had a little look. It's just a little sort of service station. So I thought I'd put that, and there's something to, when we're in a cab ride, something to sort of ride through as well. And I thought I'd just use the London Euston. The London Euston. I put Gillingham. The London Euston roofing, because it's the closest I could sort of find that I had available to do it. But it's just something for the pass through. I'm not sure if I can add anything in there. I might try and find some sort of detailing or something. So it's not too bare. But I thought I'd just add that as well, just because it's aesthetically from sort of the top, it looks a little bit more detailed, I guess. So we're going to do sort of work on and move on to the next bit. Going to sort of put some ballast down on this here. And then we're going to sort of make our way up. I smoothed some of the terrain here because we're going to start sort of... I was sort of cutting into the terrain a little bit, trying to keep track as level as I can. But I realized we're going to have to graduate up a little bit uphill, a little bit here. Because as we turn towards Watford Junction, because I realized that it was getting a bit deep and towns were going to be proper sort of... when the track's going to be that deep, it's going to be sort of harder work to sort of level the train after. See, we're getting like that. Yeah, it's a bit crazy. So I thought, nah, we will just slowly raise up the track here and sort of get some graduation going as we're going uphill, and just get it more on the level that it wants to be at rather than there, and then we'll sort of do that. I hope you enjoyed it so far. I'll go back into a time lapse and we'll get ourselves to at least Harrow and Wealdstone. Yeah, we'll get there. And then I think that'll be it for the episode. Okay. So we did it. We have Harrow and Wealdstone through to London Euston. As you can see, I've already tested out some tracks there. Nobody best get off there because there's going to be a scary ending. So what we have is Harrow and Wealdstone. What I also did off camera a little bit, actually I did record it, but it didn't come out too good and wasn't too happy with it. So I will get better at that. And I was sort of talking over this, but it didn't come out very well. So I've done a little bit of road work around Harrow and Wealdstone, put the bridge in that goes across it, sort of the most prominent sort of features in the car park. Going to sort of decorate this a little bit, maybe get rid of some of this grass, these rocks, different bits and bobs. There is a raised sort of entrance here, but obviously I couldn't achieve that. So what I did is I put a pavement bridge asset over the top with some path here and here. So maybe like when things build around here, people can sort of get access to the station. I sort of highlight it here. It seems to be the pathways are. They're only working as far as this one in terms of distance, but we've got a little bit of access at least anyway. Only a little bit off that corner, but maybe I could almost also put maybe a bus stop there or something, just giving people different access. But obviously we've got a sort of decent amount of access this side as well off the road. We built sort of the bridge here where obviously the track changes sides. Normally around about here in a larger version, if you Google map it, you have is it Wealdstone? Because that's Wealdstone, and then there's Wealdstone, something like that, and that's Wealdstone Junction. And it kind of, the track kind of comes out a bit further, then goes under. Is a junction here, but we kind of don't really have the space to put the station in or the sort of junction, and there's some sort of depots and bits and bobs there as well. Obviously, Queen's Park, we've already talked about. We've done that. I've named the Queen's Park Service Depot, Queen's Park Train Depot, southbound 2 and 1, and northbound there. No train paused there. And obviously, rolling all the way back to Euston, where you've already seen, we've got obviously South Hampstead and London Euston back there. But obviously, what we did today was between South Hampstead and Harrow and Wealdstone, which I'm reasonably happy with. Obviously, we've got where the Bakerloo line comes up and joins Queen's Park and goes on to Harrow and Wealdstone, then turns back at the turn back facility. Sorry, I zoomed out really quick there. So what I've got at the moment is eventually we'll have these trains going all the way to Watford Junction. Obviously, it's not here. So instead of doing the Bakerloo like I've decided to change it up, and we're going to do the what I put on there for the. We're going to do a little ride along. I'll put that in the next video just after this. Is I've put the sort of London Overground trains that I'm going to use for the Watford, London Euston, DC. So, but basically for the little ride along, just to give it a test run with you guys, we'll do London Euston to Harrow and Wealdstone, and then use the turn back as well. And we've put the line in, but we're going to ride along it and give it a little test. And I'll put that in like an episode 3.1. Thank you very much for watching. If you can drop a like, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you subscribe, I'd appreciate that even more. And guys, I'll see you in the next one.